On today's podcast, we dig back into the archives for an episode with Southern Mississippi interim head coach, just named that a few days ago, Scotty Walden. When we recorded this episode, Walden was still the head football coach at Texas Baptist University, where he led the team to a 7-3 record, 49.9 points per game, and averaged 568.2 yards per game. Did an excellent job at 26 years old as a head coach. He's now 30 years old and has been promoted to the interim head coach. I know you're going to enjoy this one. Take a listen. Our guest on the show today is Southern Miss tight ends and receivers coach Scotty Walden. Walden comes to Southern Miss after spending a season as the head football coach at Division III East Texas Baptist University. He had the distinction of being the youngest head coach at an NCAA school. The Tigers finished with a 7-3 record a season ago. They also led the country in scoring offense at 49.9 points per game, finishing second in total offense at 564.3 yards per game, and sixth in passing offense at 365.3 yards per game. Coach Walden, welcome to the Coach and Coordinator Show.
Hey, Keith, appreciate you having me, man.
Coach, we're going to start with your philosophy, and we're going to kind of hold this thing and talk about your philosophy in general, and then get back to, what led you to this point, where you learned those things, who had an impact on you. So let's talk about your overall coaching philosophy and how you're building your program. And obviously you guys have been successful with what you're doing. So what is your coaching philosophy?
Yeah, the whole reason why I got into coaching is, just having great leaders and mentors around you, and growing up in a single-parent home, like a lot of the kids we coach, you kind of gravitate to that male role model, that male figure, and that was always my football coach. And so I had a great mentor in Phil Young, who was my high school head coach, and he's definitely a mentor of mine, a guy I look up to, and still coaches in the Dallas-Fort Worth area at the high school level. And but to answer your question on that, it's just about impacting people's lives. I mean, I love football. There's no question about that. Love the X's and O's of it, love the day in, day out of it. But at the end of the day, it's so much more than just a game. I mean, it impacts, so many kids' lives, and you have a chance to reach out to a lot of guys, a lot of coaches, meet new people, especially in the recruiting process. But overall, my philosophy is just to be energetic every day, bring a positive attitude and a positive energy, and to positively impact people's lives once they get done out of our program, once they graduate.
So, Coach, what made you want to be a football coach? Yeah,
so it's kind of part of what I just spoke about. When growing up and getting to play sports, whether it was basketball, football, just always gravitating to that male role model, that figure, and like I said, been blessed to be around tons of coaches, great guys that have impacted me, and I was blessed early on to get, just kind of being decisive about what I wanted to do in my life career. I know, some people, it takes a while for them to decide what they want to do in life, things like that, and I don't know why, but pretty early on when I was a junior in high school, I figured out pretty quick I wanted to be a ball coach. There's no question about it, and I was a lot of it largely due in part to meeting my mentor, Coach Phil Young, and his impact on me, and played quarterback for him, and so there was kind of no question. He was just this phenomenal Christian guy off the field, just a great, just the nicest guy you'd ever meet. Then you get on the field, and man, he would flip that switch, man, and he would he knew how to turn it on and knew how to coach you up and hold you accountable. And so, man, I wanted that. I wanted to do that for other people. And of course, I just had a genuine love for the game and for playing it, and loved every aspect about it. So it's kind of a no-brainer that I wanted to do the same thing.
So, Coach, you have the distinction of being the youngest college head football coach in America, and you are, I believe, 26 years old now. Is that correct?
I actually turned 27 in November.
Okay, 27-year-old. Getting old, Coach, getting old.
I'm getting up there. I'm feeling it.
With that opportunity that soon, it's obviously in some ways a baptism by fire. How were you prepared to meet the challenges of being a head coach so young?
Well, I don't think anybody writes the book on how to do this, and so that's kind of a blessing and a curse, because it's like, hey, man, you're gonna make mistakes, and that going in, and you just do what you know the best. You only know what you know, and so I only know what I know, and so that's the way we know how to do things, and so that's the way we've done them, right, wrong, and different. And when you make mistakes, you just correct and say, okay, that didn't work, and go back to the drawing board on this. But, the best way I was prepared for it was, when I was 22, I was thrown into the offensive coordinator role in my very first coaching job at Sul Ross State University. And so that's where I played in 2011, played quarterback there, and then 2012 just fell into the offensive coordinator role. I was blessed to get that opportunity. But, I was thrown in the fire pretty quick there, too. First, my first game calling a game, it was against a scholarship school. And, I didn't know crap. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know if the plays were going to work, if I had the right game plan. I just was rolling with what I knew. And so it wasn't the first time I've been thrown in the fire. It was obviously a whole new challenge, and that's what excited me. Because it wasn't just about offense anymore. It was about the program. It was about the defense and the special teams, the staff, the academics, the whole aspect of running a program. And I've been blessed to work for two great head coaches, Wayne Schrader out at Sul Ross and Josh Ergel, who hired me here at ETBU. Just two great guys that I learned a lot from, and being around a lot of great coaches, having a great staff. To support me and to answer questions when I have them. Scott Heitzman's a guy on my staff right now that has head coaching experience, and I go to him for a lot of stuff. And so just being surrounded by great people too has made the transition easier than it would have been without those guys.
And I know for you said the whole thought process of becoming a football coach started when you were in junior high. So along the way, what were some key things you learned that, when you learned them, whether it was as a player in high school, as a player in college, or in your first opportunities as an offensive coordinator, what were some key things in your learning that helped in your development as a coach, that helped you to be able to take on such a huge role within a program so early in your career?
Yeah, I think seeing the way the coaches I played for prepared, like Coach Young, the high school coach I played for at Cleburne High School, he would let me come up on Sundays. I would actually come up on Sundays. We'd come in Saturdays, lift after the game, Friday night, and all that stuff, get a film in. And then Sundays, the coaches are up. They'd be up there, working on the next week's game plan and getting ready for practice and all that stuff. And so I wanted to be a part of that, and I wanted to see what that was like. He let me come up and just seeing the way they prepared for games, the detail it took. Because as a player, sometimes you just think you go out on the field and you just think these coaches just, hey, magically we're going to run this play, we're just going to run this, we're going to do that, and it's amazing how much detail and organization goes into preparing just one practice. We even see that here. We staff meet about our practices, and it's not just we haven't solidified on what we want to do. Things like that, but when you're planning those things out, it takes it takes some time, and just seeing that process and then break it down an opponent was huge for me. They let me become a true student of the game by letting me come up to those Sunday kind of meetings. They had those coaches only, and watching film and preparing for the next opponent, and seeing all the detail and all the preparation that it takes to win and to compete. And then in college, getting to be in some great programs and seeing great off seasons, and again, the preparation that goes into that, and just how important all the things outside of football are too, with your off season program and your lifting and your culture, your mentality, how vital those things are too. And it just really, I learned early on that it's not just about talent. And I think that's important, especially being a young coach, that you understand there's so much more to winning ball games than just talent. There's a lot of preparation involved, and I was able to learn that early.
Coach, you've put together a phenomenal offense as well. This year, you guys were number one in scoring offense in Division III at 49.9 points per game, and number two in total offense at 564.3 yards a game. And obviously having some potent teams out on the field is important. Before we get into that, though, what things do you do within your program to build a culture that's going to allow you to have the success you can have on the field?
Yeah, I think number one with your culture, it's just about it's about bringing it every day. You know what I mean? And I learned that early on with being the offensive coordinator at Sul Ross was I didn't always know what the best thing to do was in practice, or know the best play to put it. I was learning on the fly a lot of times, but I just told myself and our staff, we just said, hey, look, we know what we want to do, from a philosophy standpoint offensively. But at the same time, since a lot of us were novices, we said, hey, well, one thing we can't control is bringing the energy and bringing the attitude every day. And so I think your culture all starts with your staff's attitude and mentality, and the goals you set. You got to have a vision for your program and where you want to take it, and you have to get guys to buy in and unify toward the common goal. And I think your tenacity, your attitude and your energy you bring every day. And I've learned as a head coach that, everybody in this field house, feeds off, not just because of who I am, but just because of the position I hold. Being the head coach, people are going to feed off of your demeanor. They're going to feed off your attitude. And I walk in the field house in the morning with kind of a bad attitude or a lazy look about me or something like that. They're going to feed off that. But if I bring energy and I bring, the positivity, we're going to feed off that. Our players and our coaches are going to feed off that. And so, but building that culture all starts with the mentality, tough-minded, blue-collar mentality that we're going to come to work every day and we're going to give everything we got day in and day out on and off the field. And we're going to hold our guys accountable for what they do on and off the field. And it's going to be a program that's very detail-oriented. And it all starts with just how we approach that every day.
What's a specific maybe activity, strategy, I don't know if we call it a method, something you specifically do with your team that you point to as saying, wow, this is kind of a key thing in what we did to build culture here?
Yeah, one drill that we started last offseason was the first time we ever had, I guess what you call boot camp, in off season, and I think all great programs, have great off seasons. And I think you ask, the Mount Unions of the world, Northwest Missouri State and all the great teams. You look at what Tom Herman did at Houston, they have phenomenal, tough off seasons. And so the one of the biggest deals to me is if you want to win games in the fall, which I believe you win games in the off season, you win games in the spring, and what you do in the fall is just a product of the work you put in the summer and the spring. And so I think this is the most crucial time of year when you get back from Christmas break and you get into your off season. And so we started boot camp last spring for the first time here at ETBU, and we've done some other off season things before that, but I don't think anything like this where we were as consistent and as just tenacious every single morning with our guys. And it really just from the mat drills to pushing sleds and competing every day, doing some type of competition every day. But the one drill that we've done since I've been here in 2013 is what we call Tiger Drill. And Coach Herbal, the head coach I worked for, brought that in, and man, I think it's one of the best drills I've seen. And we continue to do it here, a part of our boot camp and a part of our off-season program. And it's basically just perfect 40s. And so you got 10 lines of guys running perfect 40s, and I may say that, hey, we're running 2 today. But it doesn't always end up just being 2. They got to be perfect. So sometimes we may say 2, we might run 20, depending on how it goes. But everything, it's detail oriented from, hand behind the line, making sure we're sounding off on Tiger Family, make sure we're breaking down on the back end, make sure we're finishing through. You got a coach at the beginning and the finish and in the middle. And I look at them after every single run and for a thumbs up, thumbs down. If it's thumbs down, they tell me who it was and why they messed up. And so everybody knows, if I'm number 32 and I didn't finish through the line, they know that. My teammates know that. And it's one thing for the coaches to know, but when your teammates know, you're going to get some flack for that, and you're going to want to not let your brothers down. And so I think it's a really good drill that we've done here, and it's ultimate accountability, and it's very detail oriented. And so I think that establishes our culture of being a detail oriented team, and also being a hard nosed team that's going to finish through and that's going to fight hard in between and come out fast.
Coach, as you take those intangibles that you're developing and building in your culture, you put them out onto the field, and they go into your offense. And let's first talk about the philosophy of your offense. What objectives are you guys trying to accomplish?
Yeah, we have 5, base, I guess we call core values for our offensive philosophy. And number 1 is ball security. And, you know it and I know it, and all coaches know it. That when you win the turnover battle, you have a great chance to win that game. So we continually hammer every single day, ball security. You know, we talk about it on film. We identify when the ball's exposed. That is something that's philosophy number one. That's core value number one for our offense, because we've got to protect the football, and that's especially with what we do, and you know, with our tempo system offensively. You know, our defense defends a lot of snaps, and they don't need to defend anymore. You know, with us turning the ball over, and so it's imperative for us to maintain the football. And so ball security is number one by far. Number two is tempo. You know, everything we do, we want to be fast, and not just for the sake of being fast, but I believe that offense. I've seen firsthand what tempo does to a defense, and all how tough it is to defend. But at the same time, I'm a big believer in tempo creates a rhythm for your offense, and we're a very rhythmic offense. You know, for us to be flowing, you know, we need to be in a rhythm, and so tempo to me is not just going as fast as you can just for the sake of going as fast as you can. It's going fast to get your offense in a rhythm and in a groove, and that's when it becomes really hard to be stopped. And so we try to continually find that rhythm, but everything we do is fast. From the way we practice, the way we drill transition, the way we meet, the way we take the practice field. I mean, everything I want our guys to do is efficient and up tempo, and it's fast. I don't like a lot of standing around and you know, it's kind of twiddling our thumbs. So that's a big core philosophy, not only for our offense, but our program. Number three is execution. You know, we don't just want to run plays fast. We want to run them correct. And so, and execution, obviously, offensively is you know, imperative if you're going to have a chance to win. And then balance is number four. And balance to me is not just being 50-50 run pass. I want to be able to take what the defense gives us. So if we have to throw it 80 times to win, we're able to do that. If a team, you know, lightens the box and we have to run it, you know, 50, 60 times to win, I want to be able to do that. So creating balance and also being able to attack all areas of the field and keep the defense on their heels. Then the very last one is physicality. You know, I truly believe that, you know, I'm a quarterback guy and I love throwing the ball around, this and that, but you know, I'm a big believer that if you're going to win championships, win ball games, you know, you've got to be able to run the football and you got to be able to stop the run. And that all starts up front, and that starts with the mentality of being a downhill vertical running football team. And so that's what we want to be about.
Support for this episode comes from Modern Football Technology. Modern Football Technology provides real-time opponent tendencies and self-scout while eliminating manual data entry into Huddle, DV Sport, and Exos. If you're tired of tools that are time-consuming to learn and perform inconsistently at best, then we recommend Modern Football for a fresh perspective. Schedule a demo today at teammofo.com to see a battle-tested tool that's proven to perform and deliver value. Mention Coach and Coordinator Podcast or use the coupon code CC10 to receive 10% off your first year. And listen to our recent episode featuring Folsom High School defensive coordinator Jordan Ersick to learn more about how the 2023 California State Champion uses modern football to dominate their opponents.
You know, there's a saying that goes, players play, coaches coach, and obviously you have some playmakers to be able to have the explosiveness that your offense has. But at the same time,
Absolutely.
The coaching part is such an important part, all those days leading up to, you know, those 6 days leading up to the game. What are you guys doing that, you know, is unique in your teaching, or the best things you do to help your players have the understanding they need to be successful on game day?
Yeah, from a you know, I'll tell you from a program standpoint, one, you know, talking offense and defense, you know, I think one great thing we do we started this year was we do pat and go with the entire team. So even the defense is doing pat and go early in practice, and the reason why is because, you know, I want our program to have the approach of attack style and everything. You know, defensively as well, we're not going to just sit back and let a team nickel and dime us. You know, we want to be up in people's face and pressure the quarterback and force turnovers. And so, you know, you think how many times do your defense actually, you know, get to catch a football? You know, very rarely in practice, you know,
Right.
maybe in Indy and stuff like that. But so in this drill, what we do is we've got the offense on one side, defense on the other, and your offense is just your typical pat and go. You know, we work, you know, I'll call vertical. And so while I call vertical, the offense is obviously throwing verticals, and the defense is defending the vertical route. So the linebackers are defending this, you know, taking their drop and defending the seam, and then our DBs are all working their drops and getting the ball from the coaches. And then I'll yell post, and so we'll throw a post offensively, and then our defense will work on defending a post, so their drops will change. And then the last one will be a quick game slant. We'll just work a simple slant throw on the offensive side, and then on the defensive side, we'll work on defending quick game and just the catch and throw stuff. And so we'll break on the ball and work on, catching it and ball to the chin and finishing to try to go score because, defensively we want to make plays. I would love for our defense to score points. That's awesome. That changes games. And so we want to work on that. And so I think that's that's been a really good drill for us early on, but other drills to get more on the offensive side, two things that stick out in my mind. Number one is what we call run-throughs, and we don't really call them walk-throughs. We just call them run-throughs, and it's as simple as it gets. But with my just experience, the more run-throughs we have, the more success we've had on offense. I know the years we've been not as explosive on offense, we have done less run-throughs. The years we've been great on offense, we've done more run-throughs. And so it's basically just a time. All you need is 30 minutes. Just especially during fall camp, we always find a little 30-minute window or something like that. And during the week, we find about 2 to 3 30-minute windows to where, literally we're running through our plays. Like I'm over there signaling. We're not talking very much. If there's a bust or something, obviously we'll address it, but we don't take very long. We're literally just running through our script and working on our how we call the play, the procedure, and you're doing it over and over and over again. And sometimes it can get monotonous, but it's a faster pace. The guys need their cleats on. It's not a walkthrough. It's not a walk and talk. It's literally working our procedure and running through our offensive script. And so that's been a big deal. And then we have a drill in every practice called TOA, and we call it team. It stands for Team on Air. And basically it's a drill where we incorporate the O-line. It's like routes on air, but with the running back, with the offensive line. And we're going to work against the look we're going to see that week. And so we may be in a 2x2 set and working against the 4-2-5 defense. We're going to see the scout team loves it because they don't have to do a thing. We just line them up per formation. We have a graduate assistant who will line them up per formation we get in, and they just stand there. And so our quarterback can identify, who his read is, where these guys are going to be, and then we will have our receivers work their routes, and then we'll also, if we're running an inside zone play, tagging a screen outside or something like that, everybody's going to get a ball. I'm huge on everybody getting a ball. So the running back's going to work the mesh, and then our receivers are going to each catch a ball. There's not going to be a guy running a route that doesn't catch a ball. So we'll have, X number of quarterbacks up there that are able to distribute the ball. And so a quarterback is going to get all of the options in that single play. And so if we're running a 2x2 play inside zone and tagging a screen to it, he's going to throw the screen to the left. He's going to run the ball in the backfield with the mesh, and then he's going to throw the screen to the right in his next drill. Just kind of an example right there. But I think that's a drill where you get a lot of reps really fast, and that's the repetition. The way we practice, I think, is key, and that drill TOA helps us get there.
With your TOA, you didn't mention your offensive line, but they got a front there, and they're blocking those guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we'll work against the front. We'll see, and even our O-line coach, if he needs to see a twist or something like that, we'll go to contact up front, and so they're the only ones that move. And so what we'll do is we'll go 3 reps with the O-line, and then everybody else, the skill guys, all rotate after 1 rep. And so the running back gets a rep, receivers get a rep, they come off. Quarterbacks will assembly line down, as I was saying. They're just going to go through each progression or read, and then the O-line is going to get 3 straight shots. And the reason why I like for them to do that, and our O-line coach, Coach Cochran, likes for them to do that, is because it simulates us in a game because we're going to run a play, then we're going to get right back on the ball and run a play. I mean, we're going so fast, and so it's snap the ball, inside zone, get reset, snap the ball, inside zone, get reset, and then I'll probably change the play. Usually we'll go 2 reps of the same play, and then we'll flip it to the new play, and so then we'll get a rep of something else. So I just want those guys working on snapping the ball, doing their assignment, and then coming back and then getting reset again and going again, and then we'll rotate them, and it kind of helps them, get in shape for the way we run our offense.
As you look back on the 2016 season, which, again, was a very explosive one offensively, what's a play or a concept you would point to as saying, wow, this was a big part of why we were so explosive this year?
Yeah, I think just it's been a staple in our offense, since I started coaching, and that's inside zone. I think that's where our offense all starts, and we just have so many variations that we do it out of. I feel like we do it out of 10 personnel, 20 personnel, 11 personnel, 21 personnel, with motions, with reads and tags and all sorts of. I just think it's such a versatile play that gives us so many options. That's why I love it. And I feel like, if you're ever in doubt or you're ever concerned about what that front is doing or anything like that, I feel like inside zone is always a safe bet because, you teach guys and we're blessed with a great O-line coach and Coach Josh Cochran, and he teaches those guys, to stay within their cylinder and not chase things and just let it develop. And Coach DeVario Dorsey, our running backs coach, does a great job teaching our backs up and teaching, where that hole's going to hit and their aiming points. And, so I feel comfortable, calling inside zone, 15 to 20 times a game if needed be. I think that's just a staple for our offense, and I think it's a play that is the same for a lot of people. Yet we can put pixie dust on it and make it look different, and add a few options here and there. And so that's why I really think inside zone has been a staple for our offense since 2012.
Now, you mentioned that out of a lot of different personnel sets, and you mentioned using motion, and those aren't typically things that high-tempo teams talk about. How do you maintain a high tempo with, maybe changing personnel, with using motion and all those kinds of things from a procedural standpoint?
Yeah, with personnel, we a lot of times if we start a drive in 20 or 11, very rarely, unless the situation permits or the game slows down by something, will we change that personnel? So a lot of times we're not changing the personnel in the middle of a drive. But we're flexible enough to be able to utilize those personnel throughout the game, when need be. But if we start a drive in 10, a lot of times we stay in 10. Or if we get in 20, we're going to stay in 20. Now, with our motions, things like that, that really doesn't, at first in 2012, 13, I really thought that, man, that's going to slow us down, adding these motions and all these deals. But honestly, it hasn't hindered us very much. And I think one reason is our verbiage is really short. I feel like you can get pretty wordy when you talk about motions in plays or play action passes. I think that's when your offense can get really wordy. And so we've just really simplified our verbiage to make it simple for our guys to get that motion communicated really quickly. And we're ready to go as soon as that whistle's blown. And so, and again, it goes back to, how we practice. We put a timer on our guys. There's a drill in our practice called Perfect Plays where, we put a 12-second timer on our guys, and we're trying to snap the ball every 12 seconds in practice. And during that time, that's where we run a lot of inside zone, a lot of motion and stuff to see if we can get it off in time so we can work on the timing and the tempo. And so we work it enough to where I feel like it doesn't slow us down. So it's been good for us. What
was your most explosive play this past year?
Oh, haven't charted it. Trying to think off the top of my head. I think 4 verticals has always been a big play for us as well in the pass game, and we hit a lot of vertical throws this year. So I think 4 verticals in the pass game, and it's kind of like inside zone to me. There, we run it so many different ways, and it's such a simplistic read for the quarterback, and I think it gives you a lot of options, a lot of freedom as well. And so, a lot of times he can tag what he wants to the backside or however he wants to do it. And in the run game, like I said, inside zone for sure was the most explosive play in the run game, especially, and you're talking full zone, lock zone, inserting the H-back, all that good stuff. So, just all those variations I still count as zone. And then 4 verticals in the pass game was pretty explosive for us this year.
Critical situation offense is important. It's important to put in points on the board when you hit the red zone. It's important to keep the chains moving when you hit third downs. Think back on the season. What's a critical situation that you faced, and what was your approach to it from a strategic standpoint?
We had probably one of the most nerve-wracking calls I've ever had to make happen this year. There's no quote. We were playing Louisiana College, our rival. It was one of the best games I've ever been a part of. We ended up winning 64-62. With those guys, they would not go away. They were making explosive plays, and they came back. I think we went up by maybe 2 scores. It was a 2-possession game, I remember, and it was like 3 or 4 minutes on the clock. And they cut it to a 2-point game, and so it's 64-62. There's maybe a minute or so left, and we've got to maintain a drive. They got all their timeouts, and we've got to maintain a drive to finish off the game. Well, we get stuck in a 3rd and I want to say 17. And we have to, if we don't convert, they're going to get the ball with good field position and a chance to win the game. And so, we get to a 3rd and 17, and the thought process at first was, they were going to bring pressure and try to get the ball out of our hands quick. And we talked about on the headsets, and they, we kind of, we made the right call, thinking that they were actually they were going to back up on it. We initially talked about, man, they're going to come after us. They said, no, I think they're going to play safe here and back them up. So we decided to run just a version of Y cross, and so we hit a version of Y cross. But what came open and what we're hoping would come open was a curl route, and so we were able to hit a curl route. Probably about 12 yards deep. They bailed, and we hit a 12-yard curl route, and he was able to catch and get the extra 5 yards or so. Just a huge window opened up as that crosser expanded, and the middle of the field opened up, and that post curl kind of opened up on the outside there. We had a big window, and we were able to make a great catch and a great run after the catch right there for about 5 additional yards to get the first down and seal the game. And so that was a big time play, big time execution by our quarterback and receivers and O-line. But it was definitely one of those stressful moments where you're holding your breath. But it was a big time play that they made.
Coach, walk us through that formation and the setup of that play and the assignments for everybody there.
Yeah, so we were in a 2x2 set. And so we had, we do a lot where we can move our guys around but not change their routes. And so we had actually flipped some guys, outside going in, inside going out, but we kept the routes the same. And so quarterback's progression started to his left on his quick out. He had his vertical route was his pre-snap. He knew that obviously the vertical route better look, pretty, and he knows that if they'd have come out and blitzed him and gone, man, he'd have had a vertical shot right there. He'd have taken. So we felt good that this play gave us options if they went man or zone. And so they ended up going zone, and he did a great job of being patient in the pocket and using his eyes to the left to move the defensive backs. And then that crosser, I think, really, really got them. One of our best players runs that crosser, and so he attracted a lot of attention inside. And the back swung. They didn't bring pressure, so the back swung, and it expanded the force player. And then all of a sudden that post curl opened up by our outside guy and finding that void. And looked, our quarterback got off the crosser and got to the post curl route and was able to drill a ball on him.
I mean, obviously those plays don't happen by accident. You practice those situations and put players in those situations in practice, constantly. What's your approach to situational offense during the week?
Yeah, I think I found that, when running this tempo system and we're doing that's the most important thing is the third downs in the red zone, and being able to, because we were horrible at it in 13, and I think even 14 we weren't very good, situational football. And so that was, one of our big off-season studies those years. And we've, we don't script anything in practice in terms of like team versus scouts. And anytime we go against our defense, we're just, we just go. But when we get to a Wednesday practice, we've got a third down segment and we've got a red zone segment. We divide our red zone up into 5 sections, and so we work each of the looks we're going to see in those 5 sections on Wednesday. And so that's the only thing that we script and the only thing that we card up. And so that play right there that we ran against Louisiana College, it was one we read during that week on our Wednesday practice. I can't remember exactly. We worked it against that perfect look or not. We might have had it against man, thinking back on it, but our guys just adapted and executed really well. But Wednesday practice is big time situations, and then our Friday practice is another situational day. And so we kind of adopted in 2015. Coach Ergel, our head coach that was here, really looked at the Chip Kelly style of practice, and we love, at first we just, we were looking at it and fell in love with it, and we rolled with it. And so our Thursday practice has actually turned into our walkthroughs in our special teams day, and then Fridays we have just a brief 45-minute practice with pads on, and we go get it for 45 minutes, then we're off the field. And so that's a huge situational day for us too. So Wednesday, Friday are big days where we go third downs and we work red zone as well.
Coach, we're going to move into a different segment here called Lessons in Learning and focus on you and some of the things that you've been able to learn through your experiences, and hopefully it's something our listeners can extract some lessons from. So let's think back, a few years ago for you, back in the early days as a coach. And what's a mistake you made in those earlier years, and what did you learn from it?
Yeah, I think trying to do way too much. I was trying to. Golly, when I was at Sol Ross and I first started, if you looked at my call sheet, I had first down calls, second down calls. You don't need that. It was first and 7 calls. It was unbelievable. Just how I would stress myself out over these things that you didn't need to waste time on. And then we would try to, I think, do too much for the guys. And it was amazing that our guys at Sol Ross picked that stuff up because I put a lot on them. If they saw the offense now and how it's evolved, they'd be like, "Oh, that's a piece of cake, Coach." We kind of air raid style. We install our offense, in 3 days, and it's all done and in, and we're good there. But in the past, man, they would string out. We would just try to install way too many formations, way too many run game schemes, and we kind of narrowed it down to 6 runs and 6 base drop back passes and 4 formations. And it used to be crazy. It used to be way more than that. And so I think doing too much, and then B, just not letting players play. I think early on, I would try to overcoach the quarterback too much, overcoach a position too much, and really learn to just let those guys play. Just put them in a we've developed I think a good system to where we've put guys in a position to make plays. So just let them go do it, and so early on I had to learn that, but the biggest thing was not putting too much on them and being simple in what you do.
What's the best coaching advice you've received in your career?
Keep it simple, stupid. The KISS method, for sure, without a doubt. That anytime I'm debating on a play, debating on something, I just I revert back to that KISS method. And hey, at the end of the day, keep it simple and let your playmakers go make plays.
Since there isn't the book on it and there's not a lot you could rely on, we're going to let you give this advice. So if you're given an opportunity, there's those guys out there even at the high school level who get these opportunities very early for whatever reason. If you get that opportunity early as a young coach, what advice would you give to them?
Yeah, I think everybody talks about obviously the money and things like that. I think that it's that getting an opportunity early, it can't be about that. You've got to look for, my biggest deal looking for an opportunity early is looking for a great opportunity to get hands-on experience. I transferred to Sol Ross State University, and they were not a winning program. It was kind of very, I guess, an unpopular decision, I guess, amongst some of my friends, things like that, because it's like, why would you want to go there? But the reason why I wanted to go there is because I saw opportunity. I saw opportunity A, to play, but B, I knew that I wanted to coach, and I had spoken with the head coach about that opportunity once I was done playing, and I knew that no matter where they put me, whether it was with defensive backs or linebackers or running backs or wherever they would put me that next year coaching for them, I knew that I would get hands-on experience because we didn't have a big staff, and in Alpine, Texas, not many people are moving their families out there to coach. And so, that was, I knew I'd have a great opportunity to get hands-on experience. And so I know a lot of people, tell you to get on with somebody, a great coach who's got a winning tradition and knows what he's doing and stuff. And that's great. And I think that's definitely an avenue to go. But I loved just getting the hands-on experience and trial by fire. You get in there, you get to coach your guys, and I don't think anything beats that hands-on experience. But you got to have some humility in that, because a lot of times those early opportunities, aren't at the most maybe prestigious programs at the time. But that's the fun part about this. I love seeing programs be rebuilt, and I love seeing cultures change, and that's an awesome deal. And so you got to, if you can get an opportunity to get hands-on, whether a position coach or coordinator, at a place that it may not be as prestigious, but you see hope there. You see, man, I think I could help the position here. Looking for those opportunities where, those kind of, I guess, those jobs that no one else is, just applying to or gunning for, with 800 applicants or something like that. I mean, I think those opportunities are the unique ones and the ones I would look for as a young coach to get hands-on experience, because I think you'll grow from it.
Coach, what's a book you've learned from that you'd recommend to our listeners?
Yeah, I like I like Mike Leach's Swing Your Sword. I really like that. I love just listening, and again, it kind of goes back to that K.I.S.S philosophy. I just love how simplistic he is. He's a genius, but he's just so simplistic with his approach, and just to get to see it from his own point of view, and also learning, how he came through the ranks. And I love seeing guys with humble beginnings from, Division II, Division III, and even high school level, because, man, that's just a lot of great coaches have cut their teeth down there, and then to see Mike Leach where he is today, just kind of, him and Hal Mumme, how legendary those guys are, and seeing how they developed the offense, seeing how they taught things, even their philosophies, in recruiting and seeing that stuff, I think is really cool. I mean, talking about how he handled discipline at Texas Tech and things like that, and his halftime speeches. I mean, he talked about in his book a halftime speech he gave against Minnesota one year that was, I think it was just awesome. And just seeing his thought process in that book was really unique and cool. So it was definitely probably one of the best ones I've read so far.
Coach, what's your favorite piece of coaching technology, or possibly something you'd like to incorporate into your workflow?
I'll be honest. I haven't used a ton of. I mean, I know this is going to be a very simple answer, but Huddle. I mean, that's just for sure the simplest, and it's so user friendly. And we haven't used just a ton of technology with our stuff. I know I've seen the virtual reality stuff getting big, and I've actually had a chance to put that helmet on and see the defense, and I've seen that deal, and that's really cool. I think that's unique, but also, I mean, shoot, we talked in the offseason already just about like bringing the quarterbacks up and, playing Madden now. I mean, golly, you can get on Madden now and, put the quarterback against the look he needs to see and have him make his decisions. I think that virtual reality stuff, just seeing things like that get bigger is really cool, unique. I wouldn't mind looking at that type of stuff. But really the technology we use now, I mean, mainly Huddle and things like that. Nothing too drastic.
I think there's two pieces that, as I listened to you speak, struck me as something that would be able to be very useful to you and that you would enjoy. And one was the VR, for sure. And we used it this past year at Oberlin College. I used a free application called Go Army Edge. And, I mean, it did everything it needed it to. We used it for our offensive line primarily, creating what we call the simulation room. So we're in an old racquetball court. We put the projector up top, projected it onto the wall, and they would have a defense against them. And, we would just rep through picking up our blitzes, our pressures. So from an assignment standpoint, it was very sound. And we did some things with our quarterbacks as well. But, yeah, that's a great one to get started with because it's free. It's the, right price. And it's easy to use. Yeah. So that's GoArmyEdge.com. And the other one I thought about as we were talking about, getting repetitions, as many as you can. And we used it this past season as well. It's called Go Route. I don't know if you've ever heard of Go Route.
Yeah, I heard of it. Not sure all that it does.
So basically, it's they have a version now with the heads-up display, actually a display within the helmet. But that one is like that one might be out of budget, but
out of the budget.
Yeah, the wristband one's pretty affordable, and that one allows your players. You have a coach working on the iPad or whatever, and it reminded me of it when you said, okay, your line coach on Team on Air would sometimes give those guys contact up front, but basically the coach just presses a button and the defensive play appears on their wristband. They see it real quick. They could align and go. So it does allow you to practice against a faster tempo defense instead of having to run in, get the card, see all those kinds of things. I know how critical it is to get that set up to be able to work your procedures in practice. So that's something that's an advantage as well. Coach, we're going to move into our 2-minute drill here and just give you some quick question and answer on some various football topics. So here's the first one. Schematically, what's the toughest defense to face?
An extreme look, either bringing 4, dropping 7, and like a Tampa 2 type look, or completely loading the box and going straight 0.
What's your favorite goal line play?
I like a throwback of some sort. We've run one out of a bunch set where we'll sprint out and try to hit a throwback to the other side. It's always been kind of a good little special play down there.
Turf or grass?
Turf.
What's your favorite backfield set?
One back.
Day game or night game?
Night game.
If you had to run your offense from one formation, what would it be?
2x2, 10 personnel.
What's your favorite quote?
Louis Pasteur, famous chemist. He said, let me see. Let me tell you the secret that has led me to my goal. My strength lies solely in my tenacity.
Should the kickoff be eliminated?
No.
If you could pick one football coach from the past, either retired or no longer with us, to learn from, who would it be?
John Wooden.
How about from the present?
Tom Herman.
How many teams should be included in the FBS playoff?
I think 8.
All things being equal, run it or throw it?
Throw it.
Good job on the 2-minute drill there, Coach. Here's our final question, and kind of an important one. There's all these things we talk about. You know, all these things we look at as coaches that we build into our program, but what's the one thing you'd point to as giving your team the winning edge?
I think it's the way we practice. I think it's the repetitions we have in practice, and I think it's the tempo in which we practice, the efficiency in terms of on the field and off the field. It's the way we talk to our guys and love our guys, you know, holding them accountable. But I think, you know, from a football standpoint, the way we practice, but off the field, the coaching the whole player, you know, taking a true investment into not only their football life, but their personal life, and their academic life, you know, from spiritual, academic, and football, putting those things together and coaching the whole player, I think, you know, leads to them just kind of creating a bond and a family type atmosphere to where they want to go give it all out on that field for you.
Coach, I really appreciate you taking the time with us. I look forward to you doing some great things in your career. You obviously already have a great start to it, but thanks for taking the time to be here.
I appreciate it, Keith. Honored to be on. Thank you.
Thanks again for joining us on the Coaching Coordinator Podcast. Stay tuned for more news about the podcast and its future direction. Follow me on Twitter at Coach K. Grabowski. And if you are enjoying the podcast, please head over to iTunes and give us a 5-star rate if you have a minute. Write a review. It really helps the podcast.